Okay, Anne of Ingleside. You know, Anne Shirley, the Anne of Green Gables. You know, I like the different shows. They have the television programs, the movies. I did not read this, but I started to read it, and it's like, whoa, this is really wordy. This is really wordy. You got to be a girl to really like this. Next up, I've got magazines. Magazines are like books, right? Fine Home Building. I love this magazine. I used to write for this magazine. Fine Home Building, published by the Taunton Press. I have almost all the back issues going way back. This is where I learned my craft in large part. Yeah, I save these, but they will go out in the shop. And Mother Earth News, Mother Earth News. Mother Earth News is not what it was when I was young, when I was like a teenager. I loved that magazine. And I learned to write nonfiction from an article in Mother Earth News magazine. I give John Shuttleworth a lot of credit for my writing talent as it is. Okay, Johnny's Seed Catalog, yeah, all right. That can go out in the shop. The Hidden Half of Nature, the microbial roots of life and health. I had such intentions, good intentions of reading this. And that's going out in the shop. Why A Students Work for C Students by Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You do have his book, right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's where you start with Robert Kiyosaki. This is a good book. It was recommended to me by my friend Dale Weed, who is a great encourager of mine and a successful entrepreneur. This is a pretty good book. I'm going to put it out in the shop though, because I could put books out in the shop and they can come back, right? And that's the way it works. The Non-Designer's Type book, Insights and Techniques for Creating Professional Level Type by Robin Williams. Now, Robin Williams, I can't remember the name of the book. She wrote a book about graphic design, real fundamental basic graphic design principles. That is excellent. I mean, I think it's a classic. Oh, if you want to know just the basics, and if you know just the basics, you know a lot when it comes to graphic design. So based on the success of that book, I guess she wrote other ones. This one I picked up and hoped to read, but have not yet read. Oh my. The Whole Life Prostate book. Yes, I'm 60 years old, and I think about this, and I'm concerned about this. So I purchased this book. This was the one I thought was best based on the reviews I saw on Amazon. And that's going back by my bedside because that's important, and I really do want to read the rest of it. Finally, in that box, I have the 9mm handgun, which I like to keep by my bedside. I think that's important. That will certainly go back there. Okay, that box is empty, and we can start on this one. Boy, that's heavy. This is going to be fun, okay? Look at this, the complete book of potatoes. This guy who wrote this is a Cornell professor. I'll hang on to that book, but it's going out in the shop. Okay, yeah, we'll put how to protect your life savings. I mean, everybody wants to protect their life savings. It says from catastrophic illness and nursing homes. My parents went through losing their home, basically. I bought it so they wouldn't lose it. And I'm 60 years old. I'm thinking, how's this all going to play out? And I'd like to be somewhat knowledgeable about things like that. Arthur W. Pink, The Sovereignty of God. This is one of my most favorite all-time books. I was blown away when I read this book. That will always be on my bedside. That is an incredible book. A.W. Pink. A.W. Pink. Diary, 1967. This has been on my bedside for quite a while. This, let's see, I was 9 years old in 1967, and I had a diary. Can you believe that? No, I'm just kidding. This was my grandfather's diary. For some reason, I ended up with the 1967. He had a diary every year. He didn't write a lot in there. He wrote, it's hard to read. It's hard to read his writing. My grandfather, Philbrick, this is my mother's father. He was a potato farmer in Aroostook County, Maine, Fort Fairfield. My father lived in town. My mother lived out in the country. My mother's father was a farmer. My father's father was a doctor. So, now you got my whole family history there. And I loved visiting my grandparents in Maine, both of them, both sets of them, in the summers. That's something I did for several summers, best summers of my life, visiting my grandparents in Maine. It's interesting to read my grandfather's diary. I'll pick a day and I'll read what he wrote for that day. I mean, like, well, today's what is today? Today is July 11th. So I'll look up July 11th, July 9, 10, 11th, and there you go. It's blank. That's a bummer. All right, let me find something else here. July 14th. A few showers, most of them going around. Gertrude, Mary, and Herrick came late tonight. They had a good trip. And Dorothy and family were fine. We went to Bangor, to Brewer, Maine. We visited Aunt Dorothy. Aunt Iva called today. They just got back from East Corinth. Uncle Dudley is not good at all. I love reading this diary. Okay, get your house right. Architectural elements to use and avoid. This stuff interests me, even though I have a very eclectic house, meaning it's kind of got weird, different architectural elements. It's just whatever, But the foreword here by His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales. Whew. I mean, gee whiz, how many people get His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales to forward their book? Okay, that's going out in the shop, by the way. An American Sickness. How healthcare became big business and how you can take it back. I listened to a podcast with this woman, Elizabeth Rosenthal. It was very good, and I thought to myself, I need to read her book. I need to know what she knows. Thank God, and I do thank God just about every day for the health that I enjoy. But, how long can that last? I don't know. John MacArthur, Hard to Believe. The High Cost and Infinite Value of Following Jesus. This is a good book. I read most of this. I like John MacArthur. The Benedict Option. Rod Dreher, A Strategy for Christians in a Post-Christian Nation. I have not read this book at all, and I want to, because I think this is a good book. And I've heard it's a good book. I think it's a controversial book, but it's an important subject, and I do want to read that. I'll put that back by the bedside.